Croeso cynnes I benod newydd sbon o Podlediad Sgorio, a mae'n benod eitha special yr un ola cyn y Nadolig, a Dylan Ebenezer, maen nhw actually di gadael ni mas o'r tŷ am y tro cynta tymor yma.
A maen nhw wedi rhoi camera I ni, felly yn ogystal â clywed y podlediad, allwch chi wylio fe hefyd ar YouTube. Mae'n reswm da yma ni, byddwn ni Gwestai arbennig Rheolwr Cymru, Robert Page. Rob, just explaining, this is usually our podcast. They've given us a camera. They've let us out of our houses as well, just because we got the main man, the Wales manager. It's great to have you here, and thanks very much for joining us on the Sgorio podcast.
Pleasure. Lovely to be a part of it.
And it's the end of the year, isn't it?
End of the year.
It's been quite a year. Are we going to start at the end of the year, Sioned?
I think so, yeah. You know, it feels a bit like the dust has settled now. You had the last two games, you had the draw happen quite quickly afterwards, so have you had some time to relax at all, or is your mind still fully focused on what's happening in March?
Yeah, it took me a while to come down off cloud nine after that camp, not just the Belgium game, but the importance of the camp going into it, the pressure you're under as a player, as a coach, as a manager. You can't help but be affected by it, and knowing we had to get 4 points from the two games, but not just that. I think the levels of performance that the boys give in the two games, scoring the goals that we did against Belarus and in the manner in which we did, and then sets it up nice for the Tuesday in front of a packed home crowd, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. Again, if you had to write a script of how you want the camp to go, I wouldn't change the thing on it, because, albeit we still pushed for the win against Belgium, and I think Nico summed it up by coming inside his right foot and trying to put one in the top corner, and DJ and Kiefer pressing him high up the pitch, and every time we won the ball back, not even created a chance, but just winning the ball back, the crowd showed their appreciation, and I just thought it was a great camp overall. And now the dust has settled, it's looking back in reflection, and really proud of the boys again.
Do you know when the draw was happening, we did a live thing for Sgorio on the YouTube channel, me and Owen Jones, like a Eurovision voiceover.
Right.
And as it was happening, we were both kind of looking at each other going, oh, hello. And it just, were you the same? I know you've got to hold yourself back and try not to smile too much, but it's going to be tough. But it did go our way.
Well, I was saying to IG, and as it was going on, because I'm conscious that I've got a camera there with all the UEFA delegates and the other managers, looking at me as well. And I thought, do you want me to be a bit more charismatic with the, with the announcement? Because off camera, I was like, get in there. It's a great. It couldn't have gone any better for us, could it? Really, the draw. So the players deserve an enormous amount of credit for finishing second place, doing the job that we needed, the 4 points. That gives us a home draw. The team, no disrespect to Austria, they're going to be a good opposition. Of course they are. They don't get there because they're an average team, but they finished in 4th position in their group, and they got the playoff because of the Nations League. So, yeah, they're a good outfit, but out of all the other teams, you'd have probably gone for them. So, and then the draw again, the second one for a home tie if we get through to the final, again was the perfect scenario. So we were really pleased with it. But now the work starts and we have to go and back it up now. We're giving up performance in a win against Austria.
I was checking my stats and checking the facts, because my head was going, that means we're home for the second time, and I knew it. But when you're not sure, it was great. Those home games are it's going to be a big deal. Before the games, you're trying to explain to people how important finishing second was, and even then getting in as seeds, and people people weren't not that they're ignoring us, but it didn't sink in. It happens all the time, doesn't it? It doesn't sink in until you actually see the consequences and the results. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. Our home record's phenomenal, and that's because of the supporters as well. They play a massive part of it. And the Saturday, Tuesday, to have 28 and 32,000 there was exceptional. 2 home games consecutive and 2 full houses. They play a massive part in helping us.
Looking back, Rob, it's that time of year I think we all like to reflect. The end of the year is upon us. When you look back at the 12 months that you've had, as a manager, but also on a personal level, how do you sum it all up? Because it's been quite a roller coaster, hasn't it? Yeah,
of course, yeah. Very proud, absolutely. To start in the autumn and finish off the job that was already started and win the Nations League and get promoted was brilliant. Great to be a part of that, and then go straight in. It was unusual then because of the layout. It was the 2 World Cup qualifiers then before going into the Euros, but that was good again, the continuity. So I took them, and we had a great result against the Czech Republic, and then different result against Belgium away, but scored one of the best goals I think we've ever scored, and so to take the positives out of that. And I said part of my team talk for the game against Belgium at home was regarding Belgium away, that the mistakes we made, we can really we can, you know, there were slight tweaks to that. They wouldn't have scored 3 against us on another day. So we knew we were going to get great chances against a good Belgium team, but it was eradicating those silly little mistakes that we made then. So getting the World Cup qualifiers out of the way, and then all the preparation went into the Euros, and that is without doubt the best experience of my life, being a part of that group and going away and being with that group of players and representing Wales. Wow, it was unbelievable. Just a shame that we couldn't get the supporters there to experience it as well. But we sort of used that in our favour a little bit. The travelling was hard, and with COVID put into that as well, it was a logistical nightmare for everybody else. That to organise it with flights and hotels and to try to keep that camaraderie and team spirit together was harder again, because we couldn't leave the hotel. We had to, you know, when you're asking players to spend 24 hours a day with each other for 6 weeks. And I think, again, the masterstroke for us was we'd done quite a bit of mixing it up with different hotels. So we went to Portugal for the week before. We stayed at the Vale for the Championship players, had a 4-day camp before the Premiership players met up, and we just kept them fresh and moving about, and that, I think that certainly helped us and helped with that environment of the lads wanting to be with each other.
It showed, actually, because you were supposed to come back here, weren't you? And
Yeah.
was it the players wanted to stay in Rome after that? Was that a sign that they were, well, I don't know, it sounds, from the outside, it seems like they were enjoying themselves, enjoying the environment.
Yeah, I mean, I think we filmed a lot of the, and I can't wait for the supporters to see it, what I get to see. And that's the players going together, and because of COVID, we had 3 buses take us to training every day. Chris Gunter was top DJ on our coach. So music is a massive part of that culture and that changing room. And every single day, on the way to training, on the way back, the music is blasting on the coach, and it's great. And that plays a massive part of it. And we did create an environment where it was tournament environment, and it would have been an anticlimax to come back. And no disrespect, the facilities we got here are second to none, but it wasn't the right thing to do at that time. And I backed the players, and I was in full agreement. And I spoke to the president at the time in the FAW, and they completely backed us. It was about that moment in time where we're creating something good. And I believe if we hadn't done that, we might not have got to the knockout stages. So we were in Baku, where the training facilities were unbelievable. We had a group of staff go over early, and the work they'd done was second to none again to create an environment.
They got to watch the Grand Prix though, didn't they, in Baku? The ones that turned up early.
No wonder there were so many volunteers.
That's a win-win situation.
It was a win-win. But they created that training facility for us, where we had our own, you know, we had a marquee built with a gym, and the lads loved it. So the original plan was to go there, go back to the hotel, and maybe a few lads would go back up to do gym in the afternoon. But as it panned out, they didn't want to leave. So we didn't see a cloud for the time we were out there. The weather was gorgeous. They trained for an hour on the pitch. They got out of the shade into an air-conditioned marquee where they could do their gym, and there was a 50-inch plasma that they could watch TV, and a coffee machine, and we created that environment where that they didn't want to go back to the hotel. When they were ready after a couple of hours to go back, we'd go back, and they'd have showers, ready for evening meal. We had a pool table for them, a table tennis, just to create that, again, environment where they want to be a part of each other's company. Because of COVID, they can't just go out to the hotel and go get out with somebody's, you know, company and go for a walk. And I thought we dealt with that really, really well. But to stay out there was really important for us.
One of the funniest conversations I overheard was someone trying to explain to Robbie Savage why he couldn't get on your flight, because it was all part of the bubble. He'd reached Baku, and he just couldn't believe that he wasn't allowed on the Wales flight.
Yeah, he messaged me, can I ask for a favour?
I think Nathan Blake tried to explain to him, no, Sav, you're travelling with us. Do you know that you said that tournament environment? You know, what did it feel like from your point of view? You know, the buses getting to the game. I know it was a massive stadium. You know, the UEFA were everywhere. Did it feel different to a normal game?
I'll share this with you. The best experience for me was, I think we were due to play Italy in Rome, and we got there 3 minutes early, so they wouldn't let us in. But to go into the changing rooms, you had to go into the stadium and down this concrete corridor. It's the only way you can describe it. And the staff had gone early, so and around the corner you could hear the beat of Amarohid coming. And Chris Gunter's got the music playing, and it's blasting. And it's not just blasting, all the lads are singing it. And the staff that were looking at our accreditation cards, they just stopped and turned like that. And they could not believe that our players were coming around the corner singing it. And everybody was like that, just sat in awe of it. And that for me was a very special moment, yeah. Definitely.
I love that.
That's cool.
When the Euros came to an end, it was that game against Denmark was a funny one because the scoreline absolutely did not, represent the performance and the shift that the players put in. Was there a sense that, and like you said, it had been a long, long 6 weeks, a lot of travelling. I think people were tired. Did you just sense that it had come to its natural end at that game? Because I think there were some conversations that, some of the players had lost their composure during the game and everything. Did it just feel like, right, that's it now, it's time to go home?
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think the players deserved to leave the tournament in that manner. I didn't think it was the scoreline that reflected the performance, not just on that game, but throughout the previous weeks in the tournament. The game against Turkey, the game against Switzerland, the defeat against Italy that got us through to the knockout stages. Even the performance on that game I was really proud of, even though it was a defeat. So I thought it was a harsh scoreline, but when you're having to manage a group of players that aren't playing domestically week in, week out, inevitably it's going to catch up with you. Of course it is. It's like even in previous games where people are saying that Aaron didn't quite have the performance that he'd had against Belarus. You find that with players. When they're not playing domestic football week in, week out, it's going to catch up with them. And to ask players to do competitive football on a Saturday and then on a Tuesday again at that intensity, at that level, it's unrealistic. So we knew it was always going to be a big ask for the players to sustain that level of performance throughout the whole tournament. And I think it just caught up with us there and then. But, for the first 20 minutes, the battle I had was, do I change formation to respect the opposition, or do we just go with, I thought the performance against Turkey and the personnel and formation we picked was exceptional. That goes down as the best game I've ever been involved in. When we scored that second goal, you can't buy that feeling. And it was hard for me to change that, to go with my heart. I had to go with my heart and go, have Kiefer up top with Aaron as a 10 off him and Bale on fire down the right and DJ, and that front four on paper, any opposition manager is going to look at it and go, oh, right, we're in for a tough game today. And I went with that. And credit to the players. I thought we controlled the middle of the park for the first 20 minutes with our three in there, with Aaron and the two Joes, and then they made a change. They went from a back three to a back four, and it was man for man, and some of them were playing Bundesliga, Premiership, and they, and they're playing week in, week out, and that got them through there in the end, But like I said, it wasn't the scoreline that we wanted, but albeit, I was still extremely proud of that group of players.
Yeah, and Denmark were having the summer of their lives. They've had a year of their lives, and we were lucky to be there, and you're just surrounded by Danish fans. I don't know, but that's where it got me. I was with Owen Tudor-Jones, and suddenly you need to be more diplomatic, but I just didn't see it. It didn't feel fair. Once I could deal with it in Baku, you could deal with it in Italy because you were in Italy, and suddenly you got to Amsterdam, and it was just packed of Danish fans.
Yeah.
And you just, and then the first 20 minutes, I was with Owen, we were looking at each other going, I felt like some of the best football we'd seen in the tournament from Wales in that first 20 minutes. So to come out of it at the end of a 4-0 must have felt unfair in a way, Rob.
Yeah, it was a bit of a pill to take, I'm not going to lie, because I was exactly the same as you, stood on the, you're anxious before the game because you're up against a very good team, and you've got to feel your way into games, and I thought, right, we've been brave, we've gone with this formation, and we knew they were going to cause us problems. Their wing-backs were scoring goals for fun. But I said to the players, look, but it depends on who stamps their authority on the game first. Why can't their wing-backs worry about our wide men? You've got DJ and Gareth Bale. So if we can pin them as a 5, then in the middle of the park we'll get John. We did for 20 minutes, but when they made the change, the rest is history, as they say. But yeah, I thought we played really well for that first 20 minutes.
After a tournament, how difficult is it to sort of manage the come down or the back to reality aspect? Because that's the first time that you would have experienced it as the manager. But I know you got married though, didn't you? About 2 weeks after the Euros. So
well, I got COVID
an amazing
after it as well.
Oh no!
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I managed to travel all around Europe and not get it. And then I come back, and so we had to postpone the wedding for the first. So yeah, cancelled the holiday. But luckily we had we got the same venue, and everybody could make it 2 weeks later. So yeah, so we got married in the summer. So it's been a busy summer. But inevitably, when you're on camp and you just got yourself to worry about, and you're in that environment, it is difficult then to come out of that and go back to family life and be back with your kids and the wife. And I'm speaking for the players as well. I've been there as a players international, and you come away, and it does take some time to adjust back into normal family life. But yeah, a good wife will knock you back into shape straight away.
It must be strange, because I was following all the players on Instagram, as you do, and the wives, because you see more through the eyes of the wives. And Colleen, Aaron Ramsey's wife, when he came back from the last camp, Daddy's home, and he's being dropped off. He's still in his Wales kit. And within 2 minutes, he's got a dog, he's got a son clambering on top of him. And it's just like, it's brilliant, isn't it? It's that back to reality, I guess.
Back to being dad, absolutely.
You said something earlier about how intense these camps are. Do you know, going back before the Euros again, that Czech game at home, we were all second game of a group. It's only the second game of a group, because the groups are quite tight. We were thinking, God, this could be a must-win. I know everybody asks you stuff like that, and you're like, you never want to say it's a must-win. But do you, even in the second game, are you looking at what's coming, thinking, we need 3 points here? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we were pleased with aspects of the performance against Belgium, and to score the goal in which we did, and then we knew we were up against a tough Czech Republic team. So to get the win was massive for us, and we thought we could have been, lucky maybe on the day as well. A draw might have been a fair result for the possession they had in the game. And I remember going in just before half time and saying to James, the analyst, I'm sure they've got 6 up front. So the 2 centre forwards, the 2 wide men coming in, both full-backs. I was going, what? I think I counted their players 3 times to see if they had the right amount of players on the pitch. So they played very well that day. So for us to get that win, give us a load of confidence then, and absolutely we took that then into the Euros as well.
Yeah, it's been an intense year.
It's been an intense year, and the last episode of a couple of episodes ago, Rob, we had IG on the podcast, and we talked about you, if that's all right. And IG said that when you came in under tricky circumstances, and he compared it, a little bit to what happened with Chris Coleman. And do you feel like you've grown into the role, and are you much more, I guess, confident, in yourself now, because you've had a year, and I think just as fans, and we can see you are the manager, and just the job you've done has been outstanding.
Oh, thank you. I think the circumstances weren't easy, but when I can't speak highly enough about the players, and when you've got a group of players like that have that help you with that continuity and the standards that they bring to the changing room and what's expected. I spoke to Gareth in the last camp about it. We had a good conversation because he was injured for the second game against Belgium, so I had quite a bit of time where I could spend with him, and more than normal then. And we were talking about the environment and who creates it and how it's continued. And like he said, when you've got good senior players and good young lads coming into that, the senior players can't rest because they know these are waiting for their jersey. These know they can't cross the line because these will clip them and say, well, this is how we work here. And the change room manages itself. It's brilliant to watch. So that's been easy for me because I've been able to just go, right, you senior boys. So I get, Wayne Hennessy, I classes that, Wardy, Chris Gunter, Joe Allen, Aaron, Gareth, Ben Davis. You talk about those players there, they're great professionals. And every now and again we'll have a committee meeting, so we'll get them all together if I want to.
Got to have a committee in Wales.
Got to have a committee. Got to have a committee. And if I want to tweak something or slightly change something, I want them to be a part of the process. It's not all about this is what I want to do, and you've got to have buy-in from the players, absolutely. And if you get those 6, 7 players that I've just named to buy in, then the rest are going to absolutely follow. So we do that, and I show them that respect. And I think that's helped my job, because then I've just had to focus on the opposition and getting a team in place, and inevitably you're going to upset players because everybody wants to play. They come away on international camp, they want to play and represent their country. But I think I have grown into it. Like I said, I am becoming more and more confident, and I learned a tremendous amount through the Euros, absolutely, and working with people like Albert as well, that is now fully committed to Arsenal, to leave us in September, and that's given me an opportunity to bring Alan Nill in. Alan's got a wealth of experience, and he plays, living in Sheffield, I've watched Sheffield United play in the Premiership, and the formation that I like, 3-5-2, and there's no better coach for me out there that knows how to play that formation. And I think you've seen it in recent games, how we play that 3-5-2 now, and the chances we create and the goals we score. I think Alan's absolutely added to that, so I've been able to put my stamp on things with regards to that coach coming in as well. And ultimately, I'm having the time of my life. How can you not? It's the best job in the world. It's absolutely the best job in the world.
Brilliant. I can imagine. Well, I can't imagine. But I can't. You know, you go through life, we all go through life, you have experiences, good and bad, and you kind of learn from them. Well, hopefully you learn from them, so the next time it comes on, as a manager, is that the same? Because you've been on that touchline in the last year against Belgium twice, you've faced Italy in Italy, so Mancini, Martinez, you've been up against some heavyweights. Those experiences, how much have they helped you as a manager when you're going into your next games?
Absolutely. I thought Roberto shows class, doesn't he, every time. You know, I've always followed him from when he was at Swansea to watch his career, and his kind words after the game were very appreciated. You know, because for somebody of his quality to say that means a lot. So, yeah, some of the games I look back on it now and think, gee, has that really happened? You know, it took me 2 days. I was still pinching myself after the Belgium game. The feeling you get from that camp in front of our home supporters, I was literally still pinching myself 2 days later thinking, please don't let this be a dream. this has had to happen. We have got the second spot. And yeah,
it felt like a massive confidence booster. I don't know, my mates follow Wales as fans. And they sort of, I think the vibe was, we know we can do it, but they weren't 100% sure that we had it in the tank against that level of opposition. And just, I know Belgium were through, but the performance Wales put in, it seemed to be just a massive confidence booster, I don't know, for you and the team, I'm sure, but for everybody. All the fans were like, by the time the draw came around, you mentioned it last week with IG, I know we got a favourable draw, but even if we hadn't, I think people were like, come on, let's bring it on.
Absolutely. And I think part of our reservations as well is we've always been that second game in the camp. And it comes down to, again, our players not playing week in, week out and sustaining that level of fitness inside them. So, you know, understandably, not only is it just the second game, it's against the world's #1 team as well. And listen, everybody says they made changes. Of course they made changes. But are you telling me those players went in, they're not playing for a place in the future? They had everything to play for. Sometimes that works against you because they got players starting going, right, I'm going to show him. I should be playing in the next game.
They still got De Bruyne and
back to the starting 11.
They still got De Bruyne and Witsel stomping around.
Yeah, and if there's anybody who didn't want the ball to drop to on the edge of the box, it was him. Absolutely. So, yeah, we go 1-0 down. And what pleased me again was our reaction after that. Because when you go 1-0 down after so early on in the game, you think, right, this next 5 minutes is really important. If they dominate possession again, this could go, you know, another one. And then you're 2-0 down after 20 minutes maybe. But it didn't. And I felt really comfortable. Even though we were 1-0 down, I was on the side thinking, no, we're all right, we're okay. We'll still create chances. So to show the character that they did to come back from the world's best team, go goal behind early on. Again, I can't speak highly enough of them, they're brilliant.
My favourite moment, which might be a bit strange to say from that game, Rob, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, was seeing you in tears after the game.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you don't see often from managers in football, and I loved that, and I think that to me just summed up being Welsh, and you could tell, because you probably had fans in tears as well. Are you an emotional person? Was that just kind of the
build-up?
I'm a
nightmare. Yeah, I am a nightmare. Yeah, do you know what? I get emotional in the game as well, so I'm not sat there with tears in my eyes in the game, but I get caught up with everything, every action, and sometimes I tried it in Prague in the Czech Republic. I said, right, I had a chat with myself, and I went, right, sit in the dugout, don't get emotionally involved. You've given them all the information, let them get on with it. I think I lasted 2 minutes before I was up on the touchline. I think I run past DJ at one stage at one of the home games in Belarus. He's got the ball on the left, and I'm running alongside him. I'm like, just relax. But I can't. I get so caught up with it. And yeah, it all culminated in that little speech in the huddle at the end, and yeah, it was an emotional time.
Brilliant. Our time's running out quickly. There's a few things I want to pick up on. Playoffs, my mind straight goes back to Russia. It's nearly 20 years since that. You were part of that campaign, not playing in that playoff, but does it feel like another opportunity? We've had so many opportunities to get to a World Cup. Is this... it's a big moment next year.
Yeah, I played part of that campaign. I missed the games through injury, the final 2 games, and I thought it was harsh how we didn't go through. But I think we're in a much stronger position now than what we were back then. I think there's no surprises now that we've got this. Whereas back then there was no expectations for Wales, was there really? There was, no. You know, if we do brilliant now after 2 consecutive qualifications for the Euros, excuse me. Given the level of performances against some of the top teams in Europe that we've done, we're in a far better position, and like you said, we're full of confidence going into this now. Having given a great performance against Belarus and scored goals, and then followed that up straight away with a great performance against Belgium. We can't wait for these games, put it that way. We're in a far better place.
I think a trip to Qatar has been added to everyone's Christmas list this
When
year.
we got to Azerbaijan as the press, and obviously you mentioning the training ground and that sort of marquee, the air-conditioned marquee, someone's going, this is what Qatar's going to be like. I guess that helps as well, the little experiences. You must have seen some crazy changes in your football career. I've just mentioned 2003. Is it like early 90s, 93 started with Watford? I was watching the Premier League programme recently. Footballs must have changed.
Oh God, yeah, over the years.
Oh,
1990, I was 16 signing for Watford, moving up to do my apprenticeship from the Valleys, and Tom Wally was one of the youth team managers at the time, who's managed Wales under 21s in the time. He's from Anglesey, I think, in North Wales, and he's been a big influence in my life and football. And Kenny Jackett, the ex-Welsh international as well, he was my youth team coach. But you're right, seeing how football's changed from when I made my debut in 92, I think, when I was 18. And seeing how it's evolved and changed for the better, I might add. You know, some of the tackles that used to fly go about back in them days were, you know, a little bit naughty to say the least. But
yeah, off the pitch as well, I guess, as footballers have, you know, and every, not just Premier League, your Championship, League One. You know, you're talking, you're dealing with millionaires, aren't you? As a manager, it must be, not, there's still players.
It's a world as well we live in, isn't it, with social media. And so if one of my youth team players in 1990 would have turned up with blue hair, they wouldn't have put the kit on. You know, it just wasn't a done thing, was it? Whereas now it's accepted and it's all part of the, you know, they are superstars now, these players. They're all superstars and celebrities. And then they just happen to play football as well. Whereas back then it was, you know, we were still cleaning the changing room, scrubbing the footballs, cleaning. I had 2 professionals football boots that I had to clean, and it was an education about work ethic as well, not just about turning up to play. And I think clubs today, they've got away from that a little bit. They're not getting the youth team players to clean changing rooms, and so we've seen a different brand of football and breed of footballer.
Yeah, Tom Wally, his name comes up, maybe because, you know, we work with Malcolm Allen and Iwan Roberts, who also went to Watford, who also had had the Tom Wally experience. You know, how important are these people to any player at an early age?
For me, imperative, absolutely. Grounds you. It's not. It's about being a man, not just about playing. It's about how you know, if you're 15 minutes early for a meeting, you're late. It's, you know, I've never been late for a meeting in my life in football. It's about instilling values into you that, you know, are really important to get you through life, not just football. So I can see why Tom's had a great impact on Ewan and Malcolm and myself as well, and many other Welsh footballers that have gone to Watford through him. Another
thing that strikes me, Rob, is you were club captain at pretty much I think I'm right in saying every club that you were at. So
that means I've got a mouth on me. You know.
But that, you know, that role of being a leader, that's obviously been in you since a very, very early age. So I guess it's almost no surprise that you are a manager and that you are now with the national team.
Maybe, yeah. I think moving away from home at 16, you have to grow up overnight. You know, you go from your mother making your toast in bed and calling you to get up for school to full-time work. You know, getting up at 7 in the morning, getting a bus into Watford from St Albans, doing your jobs, cleaning the balls, cleaning the boots, getting the kit sorted, then driving half an hour to Stanmore to train, going back in the afternoon, doing your jobs, cleaning the physio room, hoovering the carpets, so, you know. Then the kit man would come around and inspect the jobs. If they weren't good enough, he'd stay there till 5 and do them again. Getting on the bus, falling asleep into your evening meal. It's a culture shock, you know, but you have to grow up, and I think that helped me with being a leader then as well, yeah. And like I said, I took that into football, into training. I always wanted to be the best trainer and work hard, and I think that's just held me in good stead then for future, yeah.
It's fascinating because as from the outside, you know, people are so impatient with young footballers. And look, someone like Dan James, for instance, what he went through going from Swansea to Manchester United. He was in a Leeds kit, nearly signing for Leeds, losing his dad. And we're just watching him on the pitch going, oh, come on, he's missed a chance. The stuff that they go through at that age. And you've been with the under-21s and the youth team. So how crucial is, you know, that from 15 to 20 years old, say, for a young player?
It's a great point, that. You know, everybody just sees DJ as, he's playing for Man United. Yeah. What? That lad he's been through a hell of a lot this last couple of years. And how he's conducted himself throughout all that is credit to him and his family. He's a first-class lad, and deserves all the success he's going to have in his career, because he's worked hard for it and the commitment he's shown. and sacrifices he's had to make. Every player that plays football at top level will have had to make unbelievable sacrifices. They get paid handsomely to do it, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that for 1 minute, but what I am saying is they've worked really, really hard and had to make sacrifices to get there. And it's a great point you make about DJ. I think when he went to Man United, he'd had one season in the Championship and played really, really well. The season before that, he was going to Shrewsbury on loan, got injured, and they sent him back early because he wasn't quite right. Then he goes into Swansea's first team in the Championship, hits the ground running, does really well, and gets a move to Man United. And I think circumstances at Man United at the time dictated that he went straight in the team. So he had that pressure to deal with. He's now at the club in Man United, the stature of that club, and the pressure and expectation of having to score goals for them. And every young player will dip in and out of form. It's natural. They're still growing as people, as players. And then you've got to manage that. And I think at times at Man United, there was a lot of pressure put on him where he could have been maybe protected a little bit. But then he's at a club now where he's enjoying his football. He's playing really, really well. I've asked him to do something slightly different for Wales, play as a centre forward and not as a wide man. Him and Kiefer have worked really well together. Yeah. And again, I think he's at a club where he's loved and wanted, and he looks like he's enjoying his football again.
We've mentioned social media. The puppy video is still my favourite video on the internet. His girlfriend surprising him with the dog is the best thing. I am aware this is supposed to be a Christmas special, even though we're not looking very festive in our all black outfits.
My surname's Ebenezer, so I'm Scrooge. I saw someone the other day, sorry, I'm not mentioning young people all the time. I think he was in his 30s. He'd never heard of Ebenezer Scrooge.
We've got our own Ebenezer Scrooge here.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Rob, we've got some quick-fire Christmas questions for you, if that's all right. What's your favourite Christmas song?
Little Donkey.
Lovely.
Favourite Christmas film?
Home Alone.
We thought you might be Die Hard.
We had you down as a Die Hard man. Yeah.
It's like a soft mint. I look hard on the outside.
I don't see that's a Christmas film, but everybody says it is.
I think it is.
Express, there's another one.
Oh, that's my favourite.
Absolutely love it.
That's my favourite. That one always makes me cry. Do you have any family Christmas traditions at all?
Oh no, I'm going to be
playing football probably most of the time.
No, see, Christmas for me has been but always involved in football until I finished playing, and even then going into coaching and management. So some Christmases I wouldn't even be there.
What's this Christmas going to be like? Is it going to be more traditional?
Yeah, well, we're going to have a quiet Christmas this year. Just myself and the wife this Christmas. All the kids are grown up now, and Kate's got 2 young girls. So yeah, it's slightly different, but when you get all the family together, I think Boxing Day is going to be the one. My son is 15 on Boxing Day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
He's the basketball player, so we're
wow.
yeah, so we'll have a nice do for him and have a special day on Boxing Day instead of Christmas Day.
And after lunch, watch loads of videos of Austria playing football.
Yeah.
Starting to do the
He'll
homework.
be pleased with that, won't he? Happy birthday. Look what I've got for you.
Superb.
Well, is it time to wrap it up there?
Wrap the presents, wrap up the podcast, wrap up the year. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the year. Got to say that on behalf of everybody that's followed Wales. And I think we're looking forward to next year, Rob, as well.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant.
Wel, diolch yn fawr I chi am wrando. Dylan, diolch yn gwrando cwmni ni. A diolch wrth gwrs I Rob Page. Cofiwch, tan ysgrifiwch, ble bynnag I chi'n cael eich podlediadau, neu diolch am wylio ar YouTube. Fyddwn ni'n ôl ar ôl yn Nadolig. Nadolig Llawen?
Nadolig Llawen. I'm not really a Scrooge. Fi'n joio Nadolig. Wel, yn eich cyn fo hir. Ta-ra.